For a few weeks, whilst I've been not feeling great, I've been thinking of a creative way how I could explain to people about how I'm currently feeling during this period of poor mental health. And I thought the best way to do it, given my previous video around Times Change Day, would be to do a video blog explaining how I'm feeling. For those of you who don't know me, I stumbled on this video by mistake. My name is Matthew, and I work within mental health based on having experience of mental health previously. My experience of mental health is somewhat ongoing, and currently I'm going through a poor period of mental health. I have some involvement in a charity to support people with mental health, which has been going through a bit of a bad time recently. I don't want to dwell in on that, but it's been having a difficult time, and my involvement as a trustee has been more involved more recently at a time of high stress, and that's actually caused a lot of stress on me, which I've probably internalised a lot more, and it's now led to things happening which have increased my anxiety. Specifically, one of the things I did when I was starting to feel quite stressed out and had a lot of things going on in my head and wasn't able to sleep is I started to forget things, and one of the things I forgot to do was to take my medication that I'd been given, my antidepressants, at the end of each day. I got into bed and it was 10 minutes in bed. I was thinking, I've not taken my antidepressants now because I've been so tired and exhausted and I feel like I'm getting off to sleep. I think, well, I'll take it in the morning, and then I don't take it in the morning, and then I don't take it the next night either, and so on until it got to the stage where I wasn't taking it. I was thinking, well, I've stopped taking it. And probably as I've stopped taking it, things have got a little worse. Things probably came to an end last week for some reasons. I attended a meeting last week that was particularly difficult, and I felt it was very clear to me at the end of the meeting, if I'm being honest without going into too much detail, who my real friends are and who isn't. And probably the process of learning that was important, but was by no means slightly emotionally draining at the same time. And as a result of that, I just sort of crashed. I mean, last Thursday, I was off work and to accompany my brother on a tour of Old Trafford. Sorry, for people who don't know, we are Reds. If you're Blues, sorry. If you support another football club, I apologise. But if you don't like for that, we support Reds. But that's the sort of religion around here. We are Manchester United fans. So I was going on a tour of Old Trafford, and I was supposed to be there for 11:30 for a 12 o'clock tour. I didn't set off till about 10 past 11, quite simply because I couldn't sleep the night before, and when I did get to sleep, I couldn't get up in the morning. I was so anxious, I had things going on in my head that I couldn't find the time and space to get ready until 10 past 11. So it meant that I ended up turning up quite late, and I came up with some excuse about the traffic, which was bad, but I don't think either of us believed it. But it meant that we missed our tour. Fortunately, the people at Old Trafford were very good, and we managed to get on the tour, and it was enjoyable. And it did, for that period of time, make me think about things. And actually, we walked past through Old Trafford up to where I'd parked my car at Media City, where some of you might realise there was a circus taking place last week, and we saw some of the people taking the circus. We left before any of the real circus clowns turned up, although apparently Ed Miliband was on there 15 minutes early, later, but let's not get onto politics in this video. But all needless to say, even though I'd had a day and it turned my mind off it, I was still rather stressed. And then I went through the weekend, and because I was feeling quite stressed, I didn't really leave the home over the weekend. I had no real reason to. I've after this year, because of my mental health, cut my hours, which has had a bit of an impact on my financial situation, which has meant I don't have as much money to do as much to go out as much as I used to. So I had no reason to go out, and although I'm honest, I probably couldn't afford to go out, so I stayed in the house most of the weekend, and that probably didn't help. So when we got to Monday, I had arranged to go out with family. However, Sunday became quite a strange day. I was up And as I was going to bed on Sunday night, I started to hear what I found were very clear sounds. I describe it as a psychotic incident, although I'm probably being quite unfair on people who have psychotic experiences. And as I said, I have some knowledge of this. But I started hearing clear sounds like bell chiming. I could hear. We live on a main road, and I could hear the traffic going past clearly, like all the windows were open, and none of the windows were open, so it was like somebody had a door open. I also heard what sounded like the fridge being opened from upstairs, which made me think there was somebody in the house, which scared me. And when I went to bed, because it was dark and I was feeling rather petrified, and then when I got up in the morning, there was nothing had taken place. It was kind of in my imagination. And then because I wasn't feeling particularly well on Monday, I'd been feeling quite stressed out and tired because of everything. I went back to bed and was in bed till about 5 o'clock. Now, we were going out with my dad on Monday evening and we're supposed to meet at 5. Well, I didn't know what time we were meeting. I was in bed all day, so as I got up, I got a text saying I'm supposed to be somewhere at 5:30. And at this point, I just felt crap and like I wasn't committing to anything. And it took me 20 minutes to even get into a mental state to get ready. I mean, that's one of the things when you're feeling crap, you need to put yourself in a mental state, and it might take 30-45 minutes from waking up to put yourself in a state within your own head, or at least I find, to actually do anything, because there's sort of self-pity and anxieties. But I'd done that and I'd got ready quite early, and then I'd started walking down to the pub where we were meeting, which was locally in Middleton. But I'd taken my coat because I didn't know what time I was coming home, and I didn't want to be cold. As it turned out, it was a beautiful day and nobody else had coats. So then I felt like I was self-conscious. So I decided, well, what I'll do, I'll drive down. Saves the thing, I won't drink. I don't feel in a great state to drink anyway. And then that way I can put the coat in the boot. So in the end, I came back. I came up a ginnel at the back of our house rather than walk down the street to the car park, which is parked on the other side of the house to where I was walking, just simply because I wanted to avoid people. I got into the car and then I drove to the pub. At which point I stood out in the car park for 10 minutes, not being able to come out, watching other people go in and start having little panic attacks, thinking I can't go in there. So in the end I didn't go in. And, well, immediately, what happened was I decided after 10 minutes I couldn't do this, so I drove away. I texted people to say I'm not coming, and then drove for about 10 minutes till I got to a supermarket in Heywood, which is the town up the road from where we live. And then I decided to compose myself and go back. When I went back, I needed to wait for my brother to come and walk me into the thing, because whilst I felt I could go into the pub supported, I couldn't go in on my own. I couldn't walk up to the bar or anything whilst I was in there without support. So I ended up getting there at 6:30, not feeling great, feeling quite rubbish, having a lot of things going on my head. When I got into the pub, I was so anxious about the people in there. I didn't really want to move from the spot. It was really, really quite a bit traumatic. I'm not a great person in crowds, and when I'm not feeling more anxious, it's not good. And I felt more anxious. And that sort of then left about 9 o'clock, came home, and struggled to sleep the night afterwards, feeling a bit down about myself. At which point, come Tuesday, I wake up and I can't get out of bed. Monday night, I had started having more anxiety. Now, I don't know if you're aware of when you can get anxiety, sort of butterflies in your stomach as you're about to go out somewhere if you're feeling really anxious. But I started getting these real anxious anxieties that I'm in imminent danger. Whilst I was in this bedroom, just in the night, for no reason, felt like something dangerous was about to happen, and I couldn't concentrate on anything other than this. I couldn't sleep. It was this fear that was in me that I couldn't explain. I've had anxiety before when I've had to do stuff like engagement events or go out and meet people, but this was anxiety though I couldn't understand why. probably relating to some stuff, but it was just really unpleasant. So I didn't sleep well on Monday, and come Tuesday I just felt so anxious I couldn't leave the house. I phoned in work sick, and then I started taking back the medication that I should have been on for a few weeks, and yeah, I'm now in a state where I do feel quite anxious. I still feel, as I'm saying this right now, quite anxious about things that are coming up in work. I feel a bit anxious about going out. Feel anxious about things going on in my life. I just feel that I'm at a point where things aren't great. When I try to sleep at night, I'm struggling to sleep now. It's like I'm thinking about everything that's going on in the days now. I don't want to do the head clutch thing that Stephen Fry is trying to phase out at the minute, but what it feels like when I go to sleep, and I don't know if anyone else has had something like this, is like the only way I can think about it is my brain as a sort of vice on it that's pushing it together with all the thoughts. It's like there's a physical pain as well as a sort of mental pain of everything going on. That the sort of, when I'm trying to sleep, everything feels physically quite painful, and mentally like I can't sleep. It's really bad because at the minute I work 2 jobs. So I work one job with a mental health charity, I do another job on Mondays and Fridays, tomorrow being Friday, and the people in that job don't know that I've been off work this week, so I've somehow facing the prospect of tomorrow morning phoning in and saying I need to go to see that I might not be able to get into work. I probably do need to go and see a GP. Part of the reason I'm having problems with the medication I'm on is, as some people know, antidepressants are fantastic things that can make you feel better, but they can also increase your appetite. And you can look at me, I'm not the smallest man to start off with, and my appetite has increased since I've been on these things, and it's now probably having a bit of a self-conscious thing back. So I do need to go to see the GP, but at the moment I'm quite anxious about even phoning the GP. It's one of the things about mental health. When you've got anxiety, you need to phone somebody, but you're quite anxious about phoning them in the first place. So it's a very vicious circle that I'm in quite right now. I don't think people understand. People might think I'm being awkward, but I'm thinking of doing this, and I hope you can see that I'm not making this up. This is sort of a genuine thing I'm going through right now. I'd like to be talking about some of the fun things that are going on in the life at the minute. Like, we've got a general election. You may have heard about that. I'm quite political, making astute points about what's going on there. And I do want to get this video done before the time this week comes on, if I'm honest. We've got some big sporting events this weekend, like the Paris-Roubaix race. I think the Masters, Rory McIlroy hasn't had a very good first day. I think he's over for the day. Bad news. But yeah, I'd like to do that, but at the minute everything seems to be focused on work. It feels like I don't have time for myself. So I don't have time to relax because I'm so consumed in everything that's going on and consumed in the problems that it's quite overwhelming. In the past, some of the problems I've had, it's easy to just shoebox over there and just put it away and just ignore it. And at the minute I can't do that, so they're affecting my ability to live the life. Anyway, that's how I'm feeling. I might do some more updates about this, tell you how things are going. People want to share their experiences, that's good. I think I'm saying this because I want people to know. I find it very difficult to start up a conversation about how I'm feeling. If somebody asked me, I'd say, yeah, I'm fine. But I'm not fine right now, and I hope this video, anonymously in my bedroom, goes somewhere to explain how I'm not fine. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Okay.